Good morning, students. Let us start today's class. And till now, we have discussed about the sound, property of sound. We have discussed about the types of sound, that is the transverse and longitudinal sound. Also, we have discussed about the some terminology which is used to identify the loudness and pitch, and that was the amplitude, frequency, and time period. And there is a one relation in between these two, that is V is equal to, yeah, or we call as a V means nu is equal to V is equal to n into lambda. These are the some relations which we got from the um, observation. Now here we are going to discuss, also we have also discuss about, now we are going to discuss about the audible and inaudible sound. And these are the some sounds are decided on the some parameters, and that parameters is the range between the 20,000 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. In between, if the sound is less than, more than, or equal to, then it is have a different types of, then it is known as the audible, inaudible, and these audible and inaudible sounds. Now if the sound frequency range in between, if the sound frequency range between, the frequency is always measured in the hertz, and that is if it is in between 20,000 to 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, then it is called audible sounds. The human beings, that example of this sound is, human being can hear the sound range between the 20,000 and the 20 to 20,000 hertz. Now the frequency below to the 20,000, if it is less than the 20,000 and above the 20,000, there are the two conditions are given. If it is below 2,000, below 20,000 and above 20,000, the kind of the sound is known as inaudible sound. It is called inaudible sound. That means if the frequency of that sound is less than 20,000, or we call as a the frequency of sound is more than the 20,000, then it is inaudible. The human cannot hear this sound. Here already written, human cannot hear this sound, and that's why it is not in between the range between the 20 to 20,000 range. That's why the human cannot listen this kind of the sound. Many animals such as cat, dog can hear the sound with frequency above the 20,000 hertz. These are the some kind of the animals who hear the sound above the range of 20,000 hertz. Got animals like a dog, cat. These animals basically fishes also see can hear above the 20,000 hertz frequency sound. These are the two categories when we call as a audible and inaudible sounds. Now, most important things which we are going to discuss is about the what is noise, what is music. If the sound which is coming from the source is unpleasant, that means the sound is not looks no, not in a soft way, then this kind of the sound is known as the basically unpleasant sound, and that unpleasant sound creates the noise. And these are basically we can understood with the sound by sound produced by vehicles. These vehicles basically a kind of the sound which produced by these vehicles are unpleasant. That's why this kind of the sound is considered as a noise. Now when we talk about the music, then the sound which is pleasant to hear, the kind of the sound which is pleasant to hear, that kind of the sound is basically known as a music. And the kind of the sound which comes from the musical instrument, that is known as a basically pleasant sound, and that pleasant sound is um, consider music. Now, when we talk about the noise pollution, if the presence of excessive, if there is an unpleasant sound, but that unpleasant sound is if uh, excessive, loud, unwanted, or unbearable, cannot bear it, cannot listen anyhow, then this kind of the sound is basically called as a noise pollution. This kind of the sound basically create a noise pollution, like a sound of vehicle explosion, including the bursting of cracker machine and loudspeaker. These kind of the sounds are basically the televisions with high volume sound, loudspeaker with high volume sound is basically a create a noise pollution. Now here with that pictures, the pictures is important to understand how the sounds are coming from the source, and how these sounds are pleasant sounds, or creates music, or creates the um, noise. Now if it is a normal sound, then the waves of this normal sound is like that, in this way. Here you can see the all the amplitude, all the maximum position of that waves are same. But here if what you can observe here, in this sound there are the different kind of the fluctu disturbance are there. And if different kind of the disturbance are created, these different disturbance has basically a kind of the thing, kind of the sound which is not pleasant to listen, and that's why it is considered as a noise. Now if it is a high low pitch, you can also observe soft high. If amplitude is more, the loudness is more. If amplitude is less, then loudness is less, then it is called the soft. You can observe these things already have been completed. Now there are the many problems are created due to the noise pollutions. If there is a so many noise are coming from the different sources, then it creates the noise pollution, and due to that noise pollution there are the many problems also created. What are these problems? Like health related problems also can create, such as lack of sleep, insomnia, these kind of the things happen. Hypertension is also created, that is the due to the high blood pressures. And loss of hearing, this also has been done, and that is called anxieties. This is the again uh, kind of the things by which we get in stress. And the sound above 80 decibel, that is what the very painful to hear. The sound which is measured in the unit, that is called a decibel. And if it is more than 80 decibel, then it will be very painful for any human being. Now a person who is exposed to loud sound continuously may get the permanent or temporary impairment of hearing. He cannot be able to, if the person who is listening the continuously the loud sound, then he may be, for a period being, he may be the impairment of hearing or loss of hearing. Both the things are possible. This kind of the problems are take place. The measure to limit noise pollution, that means for how the noise pollutions can be limited or controlled by the controlling of the noise. These things can be controlled, like here the some suggestions are given. TV, radio, loudspeaker should be played at a low volume. That is also, if we put low volume of TV, radio, loudspeaker, then the noise pollution will not create. And high quality silency device in the vehicles, if we use the high quality silence device in the vehicles, then it also not to create a noise like a aircraft engine. These are not creating a much sound by which the noise pollution create. We should not use loud vehicles, horn. These things we have to avoid. And noise producing industry should be set up away from the residential area. These also things happen. And trees absorb sound, so plantation is also required to avoid the noise pollution. And there is a awareness of campaign, so that everybody have to understood what is noise and how these noise are very very harmful for any kind of human being. That's why the awareness campaign should be there. These points by which we can control the noise pollution. Now, here again, there are the many things I have written here. If you want to understand what is music, then you can go through all these kind of the things. Now, here the next topic is very very important, and this topic is very crucial. And these are basically it is just related to musical instrument and how the musical instrument is related to the sound. We are going to talk about all these kind of the things now. First of all, we have to understand stood about the what is music. As already told, musics are a kind of the sound which is very pleasant. If the pleasant kinds of the sounds are coming from the source, then that kind of the sound is basically considered as a music. And these music sound is basically created by the musical instrument. So the musical instrument involve to create to produce a music sound. Now there are the different um, types of the musical instrument, and these types of musical instrument involve the different parts to produce the sound. So on the basis of the which part is going to produce the soft sound by the musical instrument, on the basis of that requirement, the basically musical instruments are divided into four parts. What are these parts? First part is known as first instrument is known as a wind instrument. The second is kind of the instrument which produce the sound, that is percussion instrument. These are the percussion instrument. We have a detail with that. And there is a this instrument is not given in your syllabus, but I have shown. There is another instrument, that is reed instrument. And these things which you have to not the uh, uh, read here. But these three: wind instrument, percussion instrument, and there is a string instrument which you we have to go through all these kind of the instrument. Now what happened here? There are the different ways to produce the sound in this kind of the instrument. Now here, the wind is the source by which the musics are created. Now here, when we stuck the any kind of the musical instrument, and if by stucking that instrument, if that create a sound, then it is called a percussion instrument. And if it is a kind of the string, and that string, if either plucking or strumming, that kind of the things if happen, that kind of the then the sound which is produced by the plucking or strumming the instrument, then it is called a string instrument. Here the sources is already here the string should be there. Here the percussion, that means the hit to that instrument, and here the sound or only the uh, wind should be produced here, so that this kind of the things produce a instrument. Here another thing, that is metal reed, which produce sound when air is blowing them through them, that is air is blowing through them. They say harmonium is a one kind of the instrument. Mouth organ is another. These are the some um, kind of the instrument in which these air is blowing through them. Here, the musical instruments are given here. All these things are given, and we are talking about the here. All the string instruments are shown here. You can see all these are have a strings, and when we plugged that string by any kind of the things, then it creates a sound, and that kind of the sound is basically a string instrument. That is, you can go through these. The string instrument make a music by plucking or strumming the string. Now, what happened here? When you plucking this string by any kind of the small piece of hard things like coin or the like another kind of the whatever things which is hard, and if that hard things you plug these kind of the instrument, these kind of the strings, what happened, there is a one box. Inside that box, then this box is hollow. In between there is a larger space, and here there is also some holes are there. In between these, there is some small holes are there. What happened whenever you produce when we plug this sound? What happened? These vibrations create in this sound. They hear, and that vibrations goes into this the kind of the hollow structure of the musical instrument, and that hollow space where the sound, the vibrations goes from this place are created a sound. Here we are talking about these things where we have to, these are the some wind instruments, as you can see here. In all these instruments, basically, we push the wind inside this, and when you push the wind inside this musical instrument, this passes from the different shape, and here there is some holes are there. When you these holes are pushed by your hand, then on the depending on their sur, the musics are created. In all these instruments, the wind, these are the wind instruments. Here, wind instruments are use the principle of the vibrating air column, which I already told you, to produce the sound. The frequency is varied by changing the length of the vibration. What happened when there are the different kind of the holes, and that holes will the close or open, and that kind of the whenever you close or open that holes, the frequency changed, and with that frequency change, the musics are created. Like here, the Sehnai, flute. These are the some kind of the instruments names are mentioned here. And in the previous picture, you have already shown all these kind of the things. These are the basically wind instrument. Now here the percussion instrument. When we talk about any kind of the things, which is any kind of the musical instrument in which the there should be the stuck, and when we stuck these things, uh, these musical instrument on the different object, what happened here, the sounds, like here there is a one object. When by this object, when you struck on this music instrument, what happened here, the vibrations goes inside this halo, and with that vibrations, since there is a, here you can see, here is a some kind of the threads are also joined, and if we tight it, what happened, the on the basis of these tightness, the if it is more tight, the vibrations goes from this place to the next place, this point to the next point, and with that the sounds are created. Here in every sticking point there is a sounds are created. Here the membrane of the drum vibrate producing the sound. What we call, these are the some membrane, these lines which you can see here in the drum, there is a some membrane. These are the some membrane called as a membrane, and when these membranes are tight, very tight, the sounds are produced very well. But if these are the very loose, the sounds will not create as a match. That's why all kind of the percussions, when we strike from the upper side, there may be sound produced. You can see all these are the some kind of the object which is considered as a percussion instrument, in which the person have to stuck on the basis of their uh, music, and when we they stuck these things, basically the sounds are produced. Now to change that frequency of that sound, there is a some pattern. That pattern, on the basis of the musical pattern, they stuck the area from where that kind of the patterns are created. So it is the percussion instrument which vibrates the stressed animal hide produced sound. The stressed animal hide, that means there is a kind of the things which is used in the uh, drum, and that is the animal hide produce sound. The frequency of vibration can be increased by stressing the hide more, if, which I am already told, this is the hide. If these hides are stressed more, the frequency are produced very high. The like tabla, drums, brind, brindagam are some example of percussion instruments. You can go through all these. Now it is all about your whole the sound chapters. Now all the things I have discussed here, again I want to summarize all the related topics by which you can have a more understanding what you have to do in this chapter. First of all, you have to understand what is sound and what is the different property of sound. Again, you have to talk about the different types of the sound, that is transfer and longitudinal sound. And after that, you have to talk about the sound related sound, like frequency, amplitude, and also the time period. By this you can relate the loudness as well as uh, what we call the loudness and we talk about the mm, pitches. And after that, you have to understand the music noise, how the noise pollution create, and what is music, what are the different types of the musical instrument, and how these musical instrument basically produce a sound. We will have these kind of the things which we have to discuss. Now there is a one relation that is called the frequency is basically equal to, that is mu is equal to 1 upon t, and these by which we can understand how to calculate the number of vibrations, or we can talk about the uh, to complete one kind one waves, how much time is the how much time required. These things I have already talked. Now the questions are answer also given here. Here I have mentioned there are the different kind of the questions which I want to read here, which is very very important. How sound is produced, as already told, through the vibration the sounds is produced. Why do you understand by wave? Because waves are the kind of the phenomena by which the sounds are produced. That's why we have to understand the waves. Now they are write the three difference between the sound and light waves. It is mentioned at the initial slide. These sound waves are basically travels in a medium, whereas no mediums are required in case of light. The sound is also energy, light is also energy, and uh, s- sound is created from the source, and light is also created from the source. There is some more difference. You can go through the given point, but here you have to write these points also. What do you understand by sound energy cannot be produced? That means why the sound energy cannot be produced when if there is a vacuum. That means what is the significance of this line? If sound energy cannot be produced, that means vibrations cannot be produced. Vibration is a sound energy. If that sound energy cannot be created, that means vibrations are not there. What is the name of wave that can travel through a vacuum? That is initially I told you sound travels in the both the medium, that is called the mechanical sound, and there is a one sound which is not required uh, to any kind of the materials, and that kind of the sound is basically a non-mechanical. So here what is the name of wave, and that is the non-mechanical wave is the answer of this question. Explain some explain that sound waves require medium for their propagation. You can show um, the sonar example of the sonar you can show here, in which the mediums are required. You can also um, talk about the any kind of the musical instrument by which the mediums are required. Now even if you want to talk about for this answer, whenever you pulled throw a stone on the water, there is a sound waves are also produced. Now the seventh question, how sound waves travels through some mediums. That means they propagate when the disturbance create, they propagate from one point to another point. These things you can write down here. So many questions I have given in front of you. These questions you have to understand what is the difference between the crest and trough. These things is the if we are talking about this here when the sounds produced from main position to in this way, basically this position is a crest position, this position is a crest, and this position is a touch, touch, touch. The write the SI unit of velocity of a wave. Velocity means velocity meter per second. SI unit of velocity of wave meter per second. What are the factor describe the sound wave and define different factor like solid liquid gas. On the basis of these solid liquid gas the sound waves are defined here. Here this question is basically related to the this question which you have to not to do. There is this question again you have to solve in natural phenomena. Here how radar is different, you don't have to write these questions. There is a comparison and its nearest refraction in longitudinal waves. These things also you have to not do because it is not for in your syllabus. And sound raising means audible and inaudible sound. Here question number 20 is related to audible and inaudible sound. These are the some questions which is basic things which you have to write down here. Now the other than that, these are the question which is related to your NCRT book. All these questions are with the solutions. Go through all these questions. These are the MCQ questions. Answer is also written here. This is the true and false question. Answer is written. Question number 4, filling in the blanks. These also written here. Question number 6 and 7 also. Identify dholak. In dholak, which part? Diaphragm. Sitar is a string, and flute, wind, air column, and noise and music. Noise is unwanted sound that is unpleasant to hear. That is called noise, and music. Music is a pleasant sound. Is called a music. The sources: television, loudspeaker, horn of car, bikes, buses, trucks. These are the some related answer. Question number 9. And here question number 10. Explain in what way noise pollution is harmful to a human being. As already explained and the given slide. You can go through this slide. Answer is written here. Your parents are going to buy a house. Now this is the some application based question. You go through these application based questions. They have offered one on the roadside. Now here the condition is given, he wants to purchase a building on roadside and another 3 lanes away from the roadside. Which house would you suggest for parents? The roadside due to noise will produce, as I already told. If it is a roadside house, there will be so vehicles are moving all the 24 hours. That's why this kind of the house we should not to purchase. And question number 12, there is a vocal cord in our throat, in our neck side. This is called larynx and explain function. Larynx is a part of the throat. It is responsible for production of the sound. These are the some answer. And these question thunder and place, if you want, is it is related to sound. Here one thing, since the speed of light is greater than the speed of sound, that's why whenever we during the time of lightning and thunder, at that time we can see sound as well as light. Why the sound is uh, we can hear after some time, and light is light shown before. The answer is since the speed of light is greater than the speed of sound. That's why the speed of light is 3 into the speed of light is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second, whereas the speed of sound is 370 or 80, somewhere it is written 80, 380 meter per second. So it is the difference, and because of that we hear light before sound. So it is all about this chapter. Now we will have the different. We will in the next class we will start the new chapter, that is chemical effect, and after chemical effect we will discuss about lights. So we are going to um, complete our course within next week, and if you will be able to complete all these kind of the notes and the exercise, then we have here whenever you will come after lockdown, you will be able to uh, understand more and more. And since all the things has been already completed, then we have only the revisions. We will do all the exercise again. We will talk about all the fundamentals of related chapter, and the uh, as a part of the your revision. So it is your primary responsibility to all the students complete your notes as soon as possible, so that whenever you come here you will be have us only revisions work will do, and practice work will continue with the end of the session. So uh, we will meet in the next class with the new chapter, talking about chemical effects. So thank you for today's